At the bustling port of Yantian District in Shenzhen, China, customs officials are responsible for inspecting numerous containers daily. One container, however, raised suspicion due to its unusual arrival route and missing documentation. These irregularities serve as red flags for customs officials who are vigilant for signs of smuggling or illegal activities. The lack of proper paperwork alone can prompt a comprehensive inspection, suggesting attempts to bypass legal protocols and regulations. Cargo containers usually carry everyday items around the world, but this time, something suspicious was found. The customs team was told that one container was supposedly empty, but they became doubtful. Their experience told them that such claims are often used to avoid checks, so they decided to investigate further. The Doping Customs Anti-Smuggling Division, known for their careful work, was not ready to believe the claim right away. Armed with bolt cutters, they prepared to open the container to find out what was really inside. Officials were suspicious because it seemed odd to send an empty container across borders. Their curiosity grew when they broke the lock and found the container filled with blue and red striped sacks. When they opened one sack, they discovered it was full of coal, a common item that usually doesn't need to be hidden. This raised more questions. If the container was just carrying coal, why was there a need for secrecy and missing paperwork? When they found the coal, investigators suspected it was a cover for illegal activity. The smugglers thought they were clever, but the investigators were ready to uncover the truth. Customs officials began to examine the bags more closely, and as they worked through the container, a foul smell started to emerge, suggesting that there was decaying organic material inside. This alarming discovery indicated that the contents of the container were anything but ordinary and might involve something illegal or dangerous. The foul smell coming from the container was overwhelming, and the workers had to protect themselves to endure the strong and unpleasant stench. This indicated that something unusual and potentially dangerous was hidden inside. Given the potential health risks posed by the decaying material, officials took precautionary measures by bringing in quarantine officers. This step was crucial to ensure their safety while they delved deeper into the investigation. What they eventually discovered in the bags was shocking and disturbing, far exceeding their initial suspicions about the contents of the container. In the above picture, the stark contrast between the harmless coal and the other contents is evident. The brown material in the background was responsible for the horrible smell and hinted at the sinister nature of the container's contents. The discovery in the bags left customs officials both horrified and perplexed. After careful examination, they identified the contents as pangolin scales, revealing the true nature of the shipment. The announcement of this find was significant. The container contained an incredible 13.1 tons of pangolin scales. Such a quantity indicated a large-scale operation and underlined the severity of the wildlife trafficking problem. To understand pangolin scales, you have to learn about the fascinating pangolin. Their scales are a unique aspect of their biology and are worth learning more about. This seizure was not only significant, it represented the largest confiscation of illegal pangolin products in Chinese history. The enormous volume of scales suggested that approximately 30,000 pangolins were exploited, a figure that highlights the extensive and devastating impact of this illegal trade. Investigators are now focused on tracking down those responsible for this heinous act in the hope of preventing further damage to pangolin populations. The cruel reality of obtaining pangolin scales involves killing these animals, a brutal process in which the life of the pangolin is sacrificed for its scales. Pangolins, often compared to armadillos because of their appearance, are the most trafficked mammals in the world. Their endangerment results mainly from illegal poaching and smuggling. The discovery of such a large quantity of pangolin scales in the shipping container underscored the critical threat these animals face and the urgent need for increased protection and conservation efforts. The loss of 30,000 pangolins is a severe blow to the survival of the species. It is urgent to protect them instead of exploiting them for their scales. One of the pangolin's natural defense mechanisms is to curl up into a ball when threatened, a behavior that unfortunately makes them easy targets for poachers. This instinct, which is supposed to be essential for their survival, makes them vulnerable to capture and sale in illegal wildlife markets. This vulnerability is exploited by poachers, who find it easy to collect and transport these defenseless animals. Pangolins roll up into a ball when in danger, but they are defenseless against human poachers. Their vulnerability makes them easy targets. The high demand for pangolin scales, particularly in traditional Chinese medicine, is a major driver of their widespread smuggling. These scales are valued for their supposed medicinal properties, a claim that is not scientifically validated but continues to fuel the illegal trade. The cultural and historical importance of pangolins in traditional medicine practices plays a significant role in sustaining their exploitation, despite a lack of scientific evidence. Some people in China believe that pangolin scales have healing properties. This false belief drives the illegal trade. In addition to their scales, pangolins are also coveted for their meat, which some believe has medicinal properties. Despite this belief, eating pangolin meat is illegal, and those who violate this law can face harsh penalties, including up to 10 years in prison. This legal framework is part of broader efforts to combat the illegal trade in pangolins, but enforcement and awareness remain critical challenges in protecting these endangered animals. Although pangolins are protected under the CITES Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, this does not deter poachers and smugglers. The lure of illegal profits often outweighs the ethical aspects of species protection. Investigating the smuggling of pangolin scales was a daunting task for authorities. They faced the grim reality that nearly 30,000 pangolins have been killed, but had little evidence to identify those responsible. This type of wildlife crime often leaves few traces, and perpetrators are adept at covering their tracks. Investigators knew that solving this case would require meticulous detective work, a deep understanding of smuggling networks, and a bit of luck. They were determined to bring the criminals to justice, not just for the sake of law enforcement, but also to protect endangered species. The investigation into the smuggling operation was hampered by a lack of information. The only clue was a name, Sihua, on the shipping forms. Given the complexity of the case, investigators decided to seek additional expertise. They called in a specialized team with experience in dismantling smuggling operations. This team brought a new perspective to the investigation and identified the origin of the pangolin scales as African. This crucial information, combined with the details of the shipping label, allowed the team to narrow down their list of potential suspects. When faced with challenges, it is important to seek help in complex situations such as this investigation. Collaboration can be crucial. The list of suspects was long, as the illegal pangolin trade is widespread. After a thorough investigation, Lee and he were identified as the main suspects. Their exclusion from the list was a testament to the team's dedication and thoroughness. The determination and diligent work of the investigators led to an important breakthrough. Their efforts not only contributed to the arrest of the perpetrators, but also the protection of the pangolins. Lee, known as an experienced smuggler, denied any involvement in pangolin smuggling, even when incriminating photos were found on his phone. This discovery was a major breakthrough, but Lee was undeterred. His defense, that the incriminating photos on his phone came from a previous owner, was met with skepticism. The evidence pointed to his direct involvement in the crime. Lee's denial was an obstacle to the investigation. If he could prove that the cell phone with the photos was bought secondhand, this would weaken the charges. The challenge was to establish a direct link between Lee and the crime. Investigators became increasingly convinced that Lee was the prime suspect. Their determination, backed by the mounting evidence, demonstrated their commitment to bringing justice and stopping the illegal wildlife trade. A small detail in one of the photos, a birthmark on the photographer's foot, proved to be a crucial piece of evidence. This unexpected clue made it possible to link Lee directly to the crime scene and underscored the importance of careful evidence analysis. Through careful examination, investigators found a breakthrough when they compared Lee's foot with the one in the photograph. This comparison provided crucial evidence of Lee's involvement in the crime. Further investigation revealed that Lee and he were partners in the illegal wildlife trade, earning approximately $758,000 in profits. He handled transportation while Lee managed sales and customer relations, highlighting the organized and profitable nature of this business. For Lee and he, the exposure of their involvement in the illegal pangolin trade marked the end of their criminal activities. Their arrest was a significant victory in the fight against wildlife trafficking and served as a deterrent to others. After their arrest, Lee and he's involvement in pangolin smuggling was reported to customs authorities. While their capture was a significant achievement, it also revealed that they were part of a larger smuggling network. This raised concerns that they were connected to a broader operation in the illegal pangolin trade. The hope is that their arrest will serve as a warning to others in the business and encourage efforts to protect pangolins. Despite existing protection measures, pangolins remain at risk from poaching and trafficking. The International Fund for Animal Welfare emphasized the urgent need for stronger protections and highlighted the vulnerable situation of pangolins. The goal is to change the illegal wildlife trade to ensure that species like the pangolin can thrive in their natural habitats, free from poaching and trafficking for future generations.